Oh, I agree with you.
Here's Amy Bohn, the head of the PERK organization, who has filed a lawsuit against the Los Angeles School District. There's actually over 944, I believe, school districts involved that are trying to mandate the vaccines. Tell us about the lawsuit.
Yeah, so really what it is that in the state of California, there's more than 900 school districts across the entire state. And the school district we're currently suing right now is LAUSD and Piedmont School District. And the reason why we're choosing these two first is because they are trying to set a precedent as a school district to be able to impose the COVID shot on the children as a requirement for them to attend in-person education. So here's the problem with that. One school district is one school district. If this particular school district is allowed to continue forward with this requirement of COVID shot, then what that does is it sets a precedence for the whole entire state that a school district can do whatever they want when it comes to education policies, immunization policies, medical procedures, you name it. And if they deem it necessary, then they can include it in a policy with a quick resolution and a quick vote, and all of a sudden it's implemented in the entire school. So it sets an unbelievable precedence if this lawsuit, if the judge actually denies the preliminary injunction. So what we're fighting for is the fact that the authority to add any kind of immunization shot is given to the proper entity. And in this case, it's given to the California Department of Public Health and the legislative body for the state. So those are the entities that have been given the jurisdiction and been delegated the authority to add something such as the COVID shot to the school schedule. So in the case of LAUSD, they're going beyond their authority. They would be setting a precedence that is very dangerous. And if people understand, LAUSD is, it actually sets a precedence for even across the entire country. Like, it's not just going to impact California, it's going to impact the entire country, because what happens here, people start to say, oh, if that school district can do that, then we're going to do that, and we're going to do that. And before you know it, you've got states across the entire country that are doing the same thing that LAUSD got away with. So we're fighting back with our lawsuit and saying, nope, you can't do that. You don't have the authority to do that. And then secondly, they're actually in violation of both state and federal law. So for children, the COVID shot is currently under an emergency use authorization. So for 5-year-olds and up. So regardless of where we're at on whether they should or shouldn't get the shot and that personal decision, the fact is that an EUA, under an EUA, emergency use authorization, people have a right to refuse and opt out of an investigational product. So this product is not licensed. It is not approved for children. It is operating under an emergency use umbrella. And so that's another thing that LAUSD is in violation of by trying to require it for children. And they're saying it's not a mandate according to their resolution, but it really is, because they're coercing the parents. Parents are under duress, and they are trying to force anyone who doesn't get the COVID shot into independent study, which is also a violation of other education codes in California that say that children have a right to an in-person public education. So, I mean, it would be it would not be good to put it, it would be terrible if they were to be allowed to move forward with this, because it would set such a precedence. And it would create chaos too. Chaos across the entire state with 900 plus school districts. We're gonna do it, we're not. They could add the HPV, you could name like 10 other vaccines coming through the pipeline, and all of a sudden a school district can just add it if they think they should, according to a policy. That is not how something like this is supposed to work. The other thing is, they don't even have a medical board or a proper due process in place to even evaluate adding something as serious as a medical experiment or the COVID shot for the children. Like, where's their 15 doctors or panel? They don't have any of that. So I just think it's blows my mind that we're even here. First of all, that they even tried to do this. Second of all, I really hope and pray that the judge will take into account our legal teams, all the things that our legal team had to say for the arguments, because we are arguing, they argued very strong arguments, and I think the judge was really listening. So, I mean, I think LAUSD is just one of the lawsuits. We're suing Piedmont because they're also doing the same thing, trying to mandate the COVID shot on the children, 5 and up, by the way, 5 and up. But the other thing is, in the case of LAUSD, let me tell you an example of coercion. So I got a phone call and a text message from a mother, and she had 2 children that she sent to school that day. Her 2 children came back home vaccinated with the COVID shot against her consent, okay? And what they were told was that if they didn't get the shot, they would have to go home and not be able to come back to school. One of them potentially wouldn't graduate, and they would be kicked out of school. So the children, being under this duress, under this, coercion, this situation, thinking they would get kicked out of school, they have no choice. They got the shot without their mom, without their mom's consent. So that's not okay. That violates parental rights. It violates all the other things as well. But that's an example of what's happening. Is there's really a bribing. I have to just use that word. There's a bribing that's happening where, these are children. They're being bribed with pizza and donuts and rewards and gift cards, and here's all of these, tickets and things if you get the COVID shot. And it's like, it disregards medical anything. Like, this is a decision between parents, the children, and their doctors, and that's it. Like, it shouldn't be involving pizza or, movie tickets. Why are we doing that? And then if the children don't get the vaccine, instead of rewards, they're getting punished by being put into home study or like independent learning. And speaking of independent learning, see, you got me started. Independent learning, we anticipate that there's going to be potentially 34,000 children that would be displaced from in-person learning and put into independent study if LAUSD continues forward with this requirement and segregates the children based on vaccination status. What does that mean? Well, the independent study program that they currently have, City of Angels, it's understaffed. Children aren't even able to get on to have the instruction for weeks to be enrolled. It would disrupt that. They also only have like 1 hour a week of actual learning with a teacher. 1 hour a week? Are you kidding me? And then on top of that, that doesn't even take into account what's going on with parents and jobs, and is a parent even in a position to educate their child or stay home and make sure they're safe or doing their independent study? I mean, it takes away their extracurricular activities, their sports, the community, friendships, I mean, you name it. And just to be taking children out of that, taking them out of their sports. I mean, some of these kids, that's part of their, just their development of who they are, is, being on the football team or the basketball team or soccer or cheerleading. This is a community and an identity for these children. And so to tell them you can't have that because either your parents or for whatever reason you don't want to take the COVID shot, which is their right to choose that, and all of a sudden they're penalized and put into independent learning, and you remove all of those things that help a child develop. So I'm really sick out. That's actually the truth. But it just shows you. It shows you how arbitrary these guidelines are and the requirements that they have, because every school is doing something different, and that's what you can't have when it comes to something this big. You have to have a streamlined policy that's across the entire state. It's got to be something that has actual process and experts that are making these types of decisions. Not to mention, of course, it just disregards parents and parental rights. So, I'm a warrior for freedom. I've been fighting this for more than 2.5 years. We moved here to California, and I actually had no idea that this is what I was going to be jumping into. But I am a mother of 3 children myself, and I know how important it is to be able to have the right as a parent to choose what goes into my children's body. And what education they have, and to give them the best that I've got. So my heart is in this. My organization represents thousands and thousands of parents across the whole entire state. We have we'll be filing our 4th lawsuit this week. So we've got one against LA County, and that represents more than 5,000 public employees and first responders who were forced with potentially losing their job or being or taking the COVID shot, and they're under a mandate. So the good thing for that particular case, we have an awesome legal team on that one as well, and we've got pretty good information to show that the county really doesn't have a lot of grounds to stand on. They're violating due process procedures, Skelly rights, which are basically public employees' rights for how you can't mass terminate public employees. It's actually, you're not supposed to do that, and it's not allowed. So the city charter, those kinds of things are there to protect the people. So we filed a lawsuit against LA County for that mandate as well. And then we've got the two school suits, LAUSD and Piedmont. And then the fourth one we're going to be filing this week is against Beverly Hills City, because they particularly have been extremely aggressive in their religious retaliation against employees and public employees. So you've got people who have submitted religious exemptions, first responders. They followed the guidelines to try to apply for accommodations. And when they applied for the accommodation, the city has some type of jurisdiction to decide who has a sincere religious belief or not. And they actually denied 8 of those religious exemptions that were submitted. So when that happened, we also saw one of the city council members publicly speak out against the first responders and really be harassing, really inappropriate, and making fun of them as well. So we saw that as a violation of the First Amendment rights, as well as religious retaliation. And so we are moving forward with representing another group of first responders and public employees in another lawsuit, because I think that these guys have to be held responsible and accountable for the policymakers, the elected officials, these health orders, and they can't just do whatever they want and disregard federal law, state law, city charters, due process. All those things have to be in place, and they're there. Think about it. They're there to protect the people. The Constitution of the United States, the California Constitution, these things are in place to protect the people from the overreach of the government, not to protect the government. So all of these situations that we're litigating on and organizing people to fight back are because really these policymakers are totally disregarding all the laws, the Constitution, all that. And we're not going to have that. We're going to stand up and we're going to fight that. We're going to be the warriors to really push back and say enough is enough. People have had enough. We're going to just fight this until we're just literally going to fight it. We're going to fight it. If this takes 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep fighting this because that's what I'm meant to be here for. I'm one of those people where when I see something that's happening that's wrong, I can't not do something. I can't not say something. I have to do something about it, speak the truth, and we're on the right side of the history. And so that's the thing, is all these unprecedented times, we're on the right side of history, and we can stand strong in that and realize that every time we stand up and don't comply to unlawful, discriminatory laws, orders, etc., we are standing on the right side of history. So it doesn't matter if it takes 1 month or 6 months or 1 year for us to be proven right, because us standing up right now means that we are leading the fight to protect our children, to protect the next generation. And I think it's super important for us to realize that this can't happen on our watch. If we think that we're gonna just give, someone else can take care of this, someone else can fight this a year from now or 6 months from now or 2 years from now. We are meant to be here to stand up and fight this. And so it's not easy. It's very inconvenient and tiring sometimes, but what matters is that we keep holding the line, we stand strong, and we do it in unity for a greater purpose and cause that we may not even quite understand how important this is until, decades have, passed and we're like looking back and going, wow, we held the line for something that was, meant to really impact the whole entire globe, and it was us that saved our children, we saved our rights, we saved our Constitution, we saved our freedoms, and we saved the people. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. And when do you expect to hear from the judge regarding today?
We expect to hear from the judge probably no later than Monday of next week. Let's see, today is Wednesday, right? I forget what day of the week it is. So we're probably going to hear from him either Friday or Monday. I mean, give him a couple of days. No final ruling has been made. He did have an impression, basically a first impression when he kind of walking into the case today. And his impression was to deny the preliminary injunction. But, however, our legal team, dialoguing with him, arguing the case, the result was, I think our legal team understands even better some of the things they can put in our lawsuit and add to it, amend the claim so that we are even stronger in other claims that we can make for the case. So, I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing to be here with all the people, amazing to, it was good. It was really good also to hear the judge. I think that he was very sincerely listening to our legal team, to our lawyers, and intently trying to hear what they had to say about the law, federal, state, education codes, health codes, and I really felt like he was really trying to take that in and understanding the precedents he would set depending on how he rules on the case. So I appreciated that the judge was listening. I really do. And the legal team was amazing. So we can't, in fact, they're about to leave. I should.
Okay. Well, we'll wrap this up. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Amy Bohn.
Thank you.